and I will pop myself off video and on mute and let you guys get on with it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you for this time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That is no problem. We're going to go straight into the first question.
Mm-hmm.
I said to my daughter that I was going to be interviewing you, and she's not little. And she said to me, yes, Mommy, but when these people have, you know, their successes and everything, we want to know what is the story behind the story. So that's the first question.
Oh, the story behind the story. How far or how deep would you want me to go?
We're going back to Zambia.
Oh, wow.
Okay, because when did you leave? When, you know, you were born in Zambia, where? When did you leave Zambia? What was your life like in Zambia? Have you been back? There we go.
Oh, wow. So I haven't been back to Zambia, but I've been back to Malawi a couple of times. So I'm Zambian, Malawian and German. So I was born in Luanshya. I came to London with my family and my sister when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
So before that, I guess, you know, we were living on like a farm, and at one point, you know, my parents sold the property there so they could come over here and try and create a better life for us, I guess. So then we lived in Golders Green for a few years and kind of moved about, and I grew up in Edgware, northwest London. I've never been someone that has been into film. I would say when I was young, I loved watching film, but I didn't know I wanted to be a filmmaker. I used to be someone that was like heavily, like, I don't know, like entertaining. So I used to do a bit of acting, a bit of dancing. And then as I grew older, I became more shy and a bit more reserved. I got into sports. Basketball was something I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life. And then I ended up, you know, like I thought, you know, I was good. So I got to the point where, you know, we thought we were going to, I thought I was going to America. We had this opportunity that my coach got me and a few other players, where we were meant to go to a camp in America. Got to the airport, and then he came out and said the sponsors pulled out. So but at that time I was 15 and I was like disheartened. I was like broken with basketball, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I was in college, and I was like, maybe I should get into graphic design. I started looking at hobbies that I love to do, and one of them was art. So I started doing t-shirts. I started making t-shirts. I dropped out of college and started to build a business. At the time, this business was called Upshot Clothing. And then it developed into Upshot Entertainment through me making an advert for the t-shirt. So I made a video sketch called How Not to Chat Up a Girl with A. the comedian, and the video went viral. It was promoting the t-shirts, but people were more interested in the comedy around that video. That video got maybe 500,000 views, like, and this is maybe about 10 years ago, so it was a lot of views. And it made me think, oh, maybe entertainment is more, maybe filmmaking is more of what I should do, because it's going better than the t-shirts. And then my life kind of went on that trajectory. I moved into filmmaking.
So there you go. You just don't know. You can't make plans, because plans are made for you, as it were.
Yeah.
So that was all. You're still a teenager.
Sorry?
When all of that was going on, you're still a teenager.
Yeah, so I started Upshot when I was 17, 18. And I dropped out of college to do it. Yeah.
Okay. So then now I am going to jump right to something you said in one of your master classes.
Oh.
Because I noticed you
Yeah.
have 6 of them, and you have 11 views for, you know, how I became successful. But
I have what, sorry?
11 views.
Yeah.
People who have looked at it on the program I was looking at.
Yeah.
It there was 11 of them, how you became successful. But when you go down to the looking back and the bit about the toolkit, you've got 2 and 1 views. So I said, okay, so I am now coming to your money blueprint.
Yeah.
Because I thought that's very critical, and that's what people need to know and understand.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, tell us a bit more about, explain Money Blueprint.
So Money Blueprint is a concept that I heard about from a book that I read called The Secret Mind of a Millionaire, or Secret Millionaire Mind. And he was talking about how there's certain things that you learn about money when you were a child, that are kind of embedded in you as you grow as an adult, and these are things that have been passed on to you without you really paying attention. So it might be about how your parents handled money, what they said about money, how they felt about, maybe comments they might have made about rich people. And that, so say for example, if your mom or dad says something like, rich people are horrible, that when you, as you grow older, that's something that you might have in the back of your head of, I don't want to be rich because it will make me a horrible person, for example, right? So there's that, and there's so many other things like saving money for a rainy day, like that kind of phrase, as opposed to maybe investing. So there's certain habits or things that you've learned when you were young that carry out in your life, and when you're aware of that, or when you have taken, when you know what those could be, you can then kind of unlearn some of the negative things and maybe keep some of the positive things. So I've had to do that, like to try, and especially as I've been trying to run a business, or as I made a business, right? Like there's things that might have not been beneficial to me being a businessman.
Okay.
If I kept them.
I'm with you. Okay, because you also went on to say that it's important to have the basic accounting skills.
Yeah.
The knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. Because I got burnt when I was about 18 and I made the company. It's so easy to make a company online. You just sign up and then you just think, oh, I've got a company. I can tell people I've got a company, but there's responsibilities that come with it. And I think for me, it was like, I didn't know what those responsibilities were until I got fined, like maybe like £1,000 or something. And as an 18-year-old getting charged that when I didn't have any job and I was trying to build a business was a wake up call. And I had to, speak to HMRC and get like a payment plan in place. They weren't going to let me off. They wanted their money, but I had like a payment plan in place. And then from there, I was like, I hate maths, but I need to have an idea of what I'm doing, at least to a basic level, so that when I have an accountant, I can understand those aspects. So I think that's important to know just in general, even if you're a freelancer, as a creative, just at least the basics.
Okay, which leads me into my next point, which is that you say that you only do projects and films that you're passionate about.
Yes.
You're really passionate about them, and you're going to make it work one way or the other. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. So what's the passion behind Dreaming Whilst Black?
I think for me, so creatively, I just love the tone of the world, right? But then in terms of subject matter, I think it's a really important piece of work. I think what Ajani is saying through the work needs to be on a mainstream platform. And the first episode is just it's like a taster, like there's so much more that can be said or will be said when the season progresses. And I think he's done it in such an intelligent way that allows people that might not necessarily be ready for certain things to be ready to experience them through comedy or through stories that are about something else, you know. So I think for me, those are some of the layers that I'm passionate about. And also I feel like it's quite reflective of some of the experiences that I've had myself as a filmmaker, and as a creative, trying to do something in London, you know.
Okay. I watched the episode that I was sent yesterday,
Yeah.
and I actually enjoyed it.
Oh, brilliant.
Because I wouldn't normally be watching BBC Three. So I don't know, but I actually enjoyed it. I'll tell you the bit I really, really like was
Yes.
the when he's sitting at the bus stop and the woman with the wig.
Yes, yeah.
And the fact that he commented on her braids.
Yes, yes,
Beautiful she looked without
yes.
all of that.
See,
Excellent.
see those stuff that those things are important, isn't it? And those are the kind of details that might get missed when people are creating things, you know, like that. Those type of small details were really important to Ajani and to me, you know, that there's certain lines that need to stay, and it's interesting that you picked up on that line or those things. So yeah, it's really good that you enjoyed
And
that.
the other part was where he had to make that decision whether he's going to go to the interview.
Yes,
And he didn't go.
yeah.
The conversation with the girl, you really let me down, and all the rest of it. I mean, I have sons, so I understand. I understand that, but that's a lot. So the question is, for young people who have got tremendously good ideas, because as black people, we've got these really good ideas, and we're sitting there wondering, how do we get off first base? How do we do it if we don't have the money?
Yes.
What are we going to do? And it gets very frustrating. What would you say to them? How would you encourage them?
For me, I can only the best way for me to talk is from my experience and how I have made it work. And I think for me personally, I've always had this mentality of not trying to care about outside voices or the industry in general. Like my main focus was to just learn and create and put stuff online and on YouTube, regardless of whether I had the skills, regardless of whether I knew what I was doing. It was just, you know, learn as I was going along and just put it out. And that's how I learned, that's how I developed, and that's what got the attention of BBC. Just me putting my own stuff out, getting view, and then you know, getting views and creating a community. So I think what I would say to people is to focus on your craft, focus on your craft, and try to make things regardless of what equipment or skills you have. Like if you don't have money to so I never had money at the beginning, but what I'd done is I looked into funding and funding competitions, and I got grants, and then I bought equipment. So I wasn't funded by my parents or anything. Like all the money that I had to make all the content that I made on YouTube was through funding or through me doing work that I didn't want to do to be able to pay for that. And that was my way of doing it. And I think that a lot of people make excuses when it comes to that. When we're talking about the industry accepting our voices on a big scale and all of that, that's different. But when we're talking about like you being able to make content and put it on YouTube, I think that, you know, that a lot of people can do that, even if it's with their phone or find a way to borrow equipment. I don't know. It can be tough though. I don't know. Everyone has their own circumstances, but yeah.
In Jamaica, we have a term, you turn your hand and make fashion. Basically, you use whatever you've got to do what
Yes,
you need to do.
that's perfect. Can you put that in the Can you make it like I said that?
Okay, we can work it around that way. The other thing was illegal activity. I watched that. I watched.
Which one? Oh wow, yeah, you went back.
I am a journalist by profession and a
Oh
script.
wow.
So, you know, if I'm going to talk to somebody, I need to know who I'm talking to. Illegal activity. Yes, that was 2010, 2012,
Wow.
9 years ago, right?
Wow.
But there was a key statement made at the end of it. If books were illegal, would we read more? And I think
Yeah.
that's a powerful statement. So my
Yeah.
question to you now, 9 years on, is what do you say is the answer?
That's interesting. I haven't thought about it as as an older person.
Well,
Because the thing is, my gut instinct is to just say yes, right? We would, but I really want to think about if I think any differently before I answer, just because I've never thought about it.
given what's going on.
Yeah, I still feel the same. I still feel the same. I think people would, especially young people, that we gravitate towards things that are just, you know, that we're not supposed to do, especially like, so I think you would have this sense of a book must be special if we're not allowed to do it or read, or, you know. So I guess I probably still feel my answer probably would be yes.
Okay, good. All right. Let me see now. Let's see. And then you said you have this vision board. You created a vision board, right? To say that to keep you focused.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
When did I say that? I'm trying to remember.
I watched every single one of your masterclass. There's all 6 of them. I've watched all of that. I've watched all of the movies, everything that you've produced.
Wow. So I think so vision boards are just, I think, great ways to keep you to just kind of have them as inspiration, or just for you to know what you want. I think a lot of the times we don't know what we want, and we're chasing aims and things without a picture of why we're chasing it, or if it's something we want to chase anyways, right? So like, even me being a filmmaker, like, there's, you know, I know that it's not about fame, right? Like, but that's because I've done, I guess I know how much I love it and what I want to do through it. So I think like having those kind of inner conversations about why you're doing things or what type of things you want just kind of put things into perspective sometimes. So I think they can be quite useful, and it allows you to be focused on what you want as well.
Okay. Well, now I have another heavy question for you. Within the industry,
Yeah.
do you feel that generally Black people have difficulty working with each other?
Ooh, have a difficulty with working with each other? Wow. In my experience, I haven't experienced that because I've mainly worked with Black people. So in my experience, when it comes to doing stuff on YouTube and on in all the content that I've made has been predominantly with Black people. So I haven't experienced it being difficult to work with Black people. But
okay,
yeah, I haven't.
Let me expand on that then.
Yeah, go
In terms of if you have, let's say I have a good idea and a good concept and a good thing that I want to do, then I talk to you and I say, well, you know, can we work together on this? And it's, well, excuses, as you would say, well, no, not really. You actually think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
But because it's not your idea, you don't want to support it. That's where I'm coming from, because there are a lot of people who go through that kind of challenge, because you have the idea and you go to somebody who has maybe the means to be able to push it forward, and they won't do it.
Oh, so like kind of thinking in like the crabs in a barrel kind of mentality.
That's the one.
Yeah, I think I'm see, sometimes it's hard to think about certain things, to speak about certain things because of how I see things. When I go forward, I just kind of I kind of, if people aren't willing to work with me, or if people aren't willing to make things happen, I just kind of park them there and go, look, I'm going to do my own thing. But I have seen through, you know, through the years, you do see a certain kind of fear amongst the community of certain people feeling like they want to be the one.
Mhm.
And I think that that might be what you're touching on, of, you know, people being the one. And I think that that stems from feeling like there's not a lot of opportunities for us all, you know. So when one person makes it, it's like, oh, like I might not, you know, I might not have this again, so I need to hold on to it. Or, you know, or feeling like, and you know what, it's not always people's fault as well, because I remember seeing a documentary of Mo the comedian, and he was talking about how, you know, every 15 years they had a different you know, black comedian in the spotlight, right? So they had, who was it, Lenny Henry first, then 15 years later they had Richard Branson, and 15 years later, not Richard Branson, Richard Blackwood. Sorry, Richard Blackwood. And then another, and then 15 years after that, it's Mo the comedian, and he was saying that he doesn't want it to be 15 years later, it's another person. It's, you know, like there's space and opportunity for us all.
I have a question for you on what you said. You said they. Who is they?
Where did I say they?
A minute ago, you said they said that they have 15 years, and you kept saying they.
Oh, what did I say? Mo the comedian.
When you were
So-
talking, you were explaining that whole concept of you have the comedian Lenny Henry, and then you had Richard, and then you have Mo, right? And but you kept using the word they.
Oh, so probably, I don't know, like maybe the industry in general, and how you know, like it feels like, I don't know, does it? Yeah, I guess it's just the industry in general, I would say.
Ask you another question, because
Yes, yeah.
I'm watching the clock. Do you think there's space for a Black British owned global TV network?
Yes,
Good.
100%. I do think there's space, and I think that we've proved it by doing stuff online and showing that there's viewers there. And I think that we're in an age where content is not just, you know, when you put it out, it's not just for London, it's not just for the UK, it's a global thing. So it's like, I think in general the industry thinks quite small, and I think that Netflix and Disney and all these bigger platforms have shown that there's a, you know, when there's a big scope for making content for the world, you know. So if that's the case, of course there's enough space, because if we make content, if we had a channel, you know, we would have, you know, people in America being able to tap in, people in Africa being able to tap in, and we have had that in terms of online. People get, I've seen a lot of people get, like, when they've done stuff for mainstream channels online, I've seen them get more views on their own channels in comparison. You know, the only thing that stops us is the finance, you know, like being able to make content being able to sustain that, right? So that's one of the reasons why I wasn't able to sustain YouTube content. What you've seen through the years is a lot of people that started when I started, they made a lot of content online, and as we got older, approaching our 30s, it's like we need to have a steady income. We've got families, we've got wives, we've got children. So it's like that's when I, you know, started to coincidentally see people getting into the industry, you know.
Well, okay, I was told we've got 5 minutes, so less than 5 now. So my last thing is that I am doing my PhD, and my PhD is that question: is it possible to have a Black British-owned television network? So I'm very glad you answered the question the way you did, because that supports my argument that it is entirely possible. You know,
Yes.
I also think that it is necessary for us to have our own content.
Yes.
And that the other thing that I am promoting is that we are here as Black British people, but we are also of African descent, or we are of Caribbean descent, which is also of African descent.
Yes.
Everywhere you work it, and that we need to be more connected. And
yes.
that's why I asked the question about Black people working with each other, because I would just like to wrap up with you giving me a perspective on that. I want to make it happen, right? So that's when I do what they call a viva at the end of the I'm doing a PhD. So at the end of it, I want to be able to show them, there it is. Look on your phone. There it is. It works.
Yeah.
Right, because I have a lot of naysayers who say no, but like yourself, you just say, right, later for you. Later for you, you know, that sort of thing. And I noticed that you work with a lot of young people, and that is excellent, and I'd like to commend you on that. Excellent. Right, one last word. What do you have for you people to say, apart from watch Dreaming Whilst Black, which is important? We need to make people watch it. What else would you have to say to young people, and not so young people, who still feel, you know, I've got something to say?
Yeah, I think it's important in general to do a lot of inner work for yourself, like self-development work. Meditation has really helped me in general, just as a being. But I mean, just to know yourself and to know what you want, what makes you happy, so that when you're making decisions around creativity, that it's not tainted by, you know, doing things for the wrong reasons. Because if you know why you're doing it and you're doing it for the right reasons, I think you have a different kind of drive that people can't stop. And I think that that's an important aspect that a lot of people don't realize. And I think especially with our generation now, with TikTok and Instagram and everything being so fast, what people think they want is not exactly what they want, or what people think will make them happy isn't what would make them happy. And I think doing the work on yourself and whilst you're trying to get into the industry or be creative, I think is something that not a lot of people talk about, and it is very important.
Okay, great. Well, I would like to thank you. We're right on time.
Thank you
so much, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and I enjoyed watching all of your work.
Oh, thank you, Beverly.
Oh, I know about it. I can watch it some more. You know, that's it. I really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.